Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Iconic. One word here. If you are holding tickets to today's matinee performance of Avenue Q, you are in the wrong place. This is Iconic, not Avenue Q. This is the third year that we've done Iconic together. Eric and I, Eric on behalf of Inc., and we're partners CNBC, and our presenting sponsor is T-Mobile, to whom we are most grateful for this series of events. This is our first time in New York City, and we're delighted to basically play a home game. We've been on the road for the prior 2 years all across the country, and we're bringing it here to New York this time. I should point out that Eric and I have known each other for 30-some years. Eric came to New York as a struggling actor and a waiter. He actually met his wife performing in the play Equus in Milwaukee. This is your first time on Broadway.
Yeah, it isn't exactly how I envisioned it. I took a kind of a roundabout route here, but listen, if anyone is starting a talent agency out there, but anyway, look, what it means is if things get slow, I will launch into my Shakespearean monologue.
All right, wonderful.
But I promise you, things will not get slow. We have an incredible speaker lineup.
We have a great day ahead for you. I know what you're thinking. What is this day going to be like? Who am I going to meet? What am I going to learn? And what the hell is wrong with this guy's nose? Let me just say that if the sun ever comes out again in New York City, which seems like a dubious proposition these days, I will be wearing SPF 50. I had a little surgery to have some skin repealed and replaced, as the saying goes these days. My doctor, my surgeon says that he is going to make my face great again, and I'm believing it. They cut out some sort of objectionable skin on my nose and took a skin graft from my ear. So if you would be so kind to speak directly into my nose, I will hear you perfectly. So anyhow, it is going to be a great day and a wonderful full day of sessions.
We have the great Arianna Huffington. We have Steve Hindy, the co-founder of Brooklyn Brewery. And we have my favorite shark, Damon John, late in the day.
And we've got lots of, this time around, we've tweaked the presentation a little bit to emphasize the actionable, the actual tactical advice, interactivity. You're going to get a wonderful session on how to protect yourself and your business from perhaps the biggest threat to your business today, which is hacking. We have a wonderful guest today to talk about how to negotiate the non-negotiable. No, it is not President Trump, the great negotiator-in-chief. You'll hear today from Deepak Malhotra, Harvard Business School professor and expert in negotiation.
We also have a lot of activities for you out in the lobby. For example, you can get a professional headshot taken if you like, and then instantly share it on social.
The professional headshot is something I will not be doing today. We're going to postpone that for a couple of weeks. Great coaches here today to help you refine your presentation skills, your pitches, including Alex Kenjeev, who is the Shark Kevin O'Leary's right-hand person. He will be here throughout the day, this morning, this afternoon. Try and find him, buttonhole him, talk to him about your pitch and presentation.
That's right. And also this morning you can find Alicia Charette, who will be doing the same thing, helping you on your pitch and presentation. She's a venture capitalist and an angel investor. And then later on in the day, both Alicia and Alex will come up on stage and spread their tips broadly among the audience. And one of you will be chosen to come up on stage and show your stuff. So sign up in the lobby for Alex and Alicia and perfecting your pitch.
And if there is a performing creature inside of you, we also have today an open casting call for two of CNBC's programs, The Prophet, which is one that you probably have heard of, and Billion Dollar Buyer with Tillman Fertitta. You'll see it up there. You see a stand, I think it's on the second floor, where you can go up, give them your credentials, your interest, and maybe, just maybe, you'll be selected to appear with Tillman or on The Prophet.
Well, you'll have to wait in line behind me. I'll be doing my Equus monologue. I'd also like to point out that roaming the lobby, and maybe even sitting next to you in the audience, will be Inc. writers and editors. So don't be shy about introducing yourself and telling them your story, and maybe you'll end up on Inc. And if you have questions that you want to put to our speakers, just tweet at them and use the Iconic Tour hashtag.
And that will start right now, the Iconic Tour hashtag. So if you have a question for our speakers, we'll be using that all day long, and we really want to hear from you and get you involved, because the most important thing is not to get our questions answered, but to get your question answered. With that in mind, let's introduce our first speaker of many today, and it is Sarah Robb O'Hagan. She is a self-proclaimed average kid from New Zealand, but her career belies that self-description. She is anything but average. She has been described variously as the most creative women, among the most creative women in business, and among the most powerful women in sport. She's worked on such major brands as Nike, Gatorade, and Virgin Atlantic. She is currently the CEO of Flywheel, which is an innovative fitness startup that she will tell you about momentarily. She's the acclaimed author of Extreme You, Step Up, Stand Out, Kick Ass, and Repeat. Ladies and gentlemen, here to help you be the best you can be in business and to kick a little ass along the way, Sarah Robb O'Hagan. Welcome, Sarah.
Hi. Thank you. Good morning, you guys. How's everyone doing today? Are we ready to kick some ass? Are we awake? What's going on? All right, guys, do we have the presentation to go up there? So where do we start? It is all about kicking ass, but I generally like to start my talks with like the crazy accent. Where is she from? What's it all about? I'm from New Zealand. Has anyone been there? Oh, yay! Yay, there's always one or two. Did you love it? Oh, Christchurch. That's where I grew up, even better. It is one of the most beautiful countries in the world. Discovered in 1769 by Captain James Cook, who said, "I believe I've discovered God's zone." Look at it. I mean, it's gorgeous, right? So why would a 22-year-old Kiwi decide that she needed to leave that country to pursue bigger things? Well, there's a lot of sheep. So let's just go there for a second. There is 4 million people and 50 million sheep. That's a lot, okay? So everywhere I've gone in the world, it's like all the sheep jokes. Do you have great sweaters? I was like, yes, I do. But what people don't know about New Zealand is that it's also a country that's super passionate about sports. One of my greatest memories growing up was watching the 1984 Olympics. Is anyone else alive watching that? Or am I the oldest one in the room? Yes, thank you. In Los Angeles, where the Kiwis won the most medals we have ever won. We got 13. You guys, that's huge. Like, we were #1 on the per capita medals table. That's how we look at it. But what's more interesting is every medal that we won was a sport that involved sitting down. Look at the pictures. Horse riding, canoeing, kayaking, sailing, cycling. Is that not amazing? Like, we didn't say, let's go and do track and field because the Americans are doing track and field. We're like, let's just get really good at sitting down. Like, how about that? And as a result, we totally punched above our weight. And I tell that story because it's funny, but also because I do believe it has informed a lot of my experiences as I've built my career around the world. It takes extreme focus on something really specialized to achieve extraordinary results. And you can see I've had the great pleasure of working for some of the world's most sustaining global brands. And when I say sustaining, that's important because they've been around for years and they're still at the top of their game. And I believe what they all have in common is this incredible focus on a very specialist position. And it's even more important today when the landscape is changing so quickly. As someone who has been like in big corporate America for a long time, everywhere you turn, there's a new startup nipping at your heels, right? And it's scary because it's easy to go, whoa, we've got to get into that business too. It is more important than ever to know what your extreme specialty is and to really focus and stick with it. So in the last 3 years, I actually decided, how do I understand what it takes to build not only these great brands, but to be great leaders within these brands? And I wrote this book, Extreme You, and I actually got out there and interviewed about 25 people. You see some of the pictures on the board, from all walks of life who have achieved extraordinary success for a long period of time. And you see some of the pictures here. Condoleezza Rice, obviously we know who that is. Sam Cass, the former White House chef. Mr. Cartoon, one of the most famous tattoo artists, Bodie Miller, the downhill skier. I'm talking lots of different successes in different places. And what they all had in common was, just like those brands I showed you, they totally knew what their specialist ability was, they stuck with it, and then they, what I call, live at the edge of their potential. So every time they get really good at something, they're super comfortable to push themselves to the next level, get disruptive to themselves. And that is being extreme you. So this idea of extreme you, it starts with you, the person. What is it about you that really freaking blows your hair back and that you're really good at? That is you at your best, pushing and pushing. And then what does that mean for you within your organization? An extreme team is generally one that is made up of lots of different skill sets and specialties, but altogether you sort of cover the gamut of what you need. And then, of course, the extreme organization, one that has incredibly diverse, passionate individuals, but very focused, like those brands I showed you, around how they drive their business. So with that said, I'm going to take you through 3 great lessons that I learned through this experience of researching and writing my book that I hope will be very relevant for you guys as individuals, but as business leaders too. Is that cool? Are you guys awake? Because we will do star jumps if anyone falls asleep. I just want to go there. Okay, so the first one, which is actually my all-time favorite, is make failure your fuel. Failure is actually probably one of my favorite topics in the world. So I'm going to tell a personal story. Here's little Kiwi Sarah, 26 years old, partying at the Cannes Film Festival with Richard Branson. I thought I was the shit. I mean, is that not the shit? Come on. I was on fire with my career because I was working for Virgin Atlantic Airways, doing all these great campaigns. Do you remember the Austin Powers movie? We rebranded the airline Virgin Shag-Atlantic. So fun. Things were going great. I get promoted. I move across to Virgin Megastores. Does anyone remember Virgin Megastores, when CDs used to be on things, that when music was on CDs, they'll go round and round and you buy them in a store? It's kind of amazing. Anyway, so I go across to Virgin Megastores thinking I'm the shit, thinking everything's awesome. And a year later, I get fired. And I'm not talking like everyone and a bunch of people got laid off. I'm talking one person, loser girl in the corner office, please come, and HR is sitting in the room. How many people have been fired, by the way? Hands up. It is awesome. I love it when people put their hands up. It's the best club to be in. How many people are scared of getting fired? Be honest. Okay, so let me walk you through, for this little group over here who are scared. Here's how it generally goes down. So you get that message, you know, come over to your boss's office, and you're like, cool, I got this. You walk in and HR is sitting there, and you're like, you know what I was about to say. And the blood rushes out of your head, everything goes very blurry, and then you get told, in my case, we want you to leave the country, the company. No, it gets better. We want you to leave the company. We're giving you 1 week severance and a one-way ticket back to New Zealand. We do want you to leave the country. Like, I was like, okay, small problem, you really don't like me. And anyway, so I come out of that experience. I was on a visa that got expired. I lost my green card application, lost everything. And I'm like, I have 3 months to figure out how to stay in this country, okay? Same girl that was partying with Richard a year ago. Don't forget that. So I go and take a job at this great company called Atari. Anyone remember Atari? That is what my workmates look like. And I was single, ladies. I'm like, and literally, I completely overlooked the fact, by the way, that I hate video games. Hate them. Have never played them, don't enjoy them. Terrible. So 2 years into my time at Atari, I'm laid off. At least this time it was a bunch of people, it wasn't just me, but I'm laid off. And why was that? Because I was completely inept, like out of my depth, in the wrong environment, couldn't influence anyone, terrible. So here we go, in my late 20s, 3 years of what I call my canyon of career despair. I mean, I was basically a train wreck. So from there, by some miracle, I end up getting a headhunter call from someone at Nike, which had been my dream since I was little Kiwi watching the Olympics. And I end up, over a 9-month interviewing period, getting in the door, like smaller job, smaller title, less money. I didn't give a shit. I was like, just keep me in this country and don't fire me. That was it, right? And here's the thing. the same person that was a total train wreck, suddenly I find myself in the exact right environment for me and my specialties. And I went from 0 to suddenly my career takes off and I'm on the leadership track and everything is great. And why I share that story is I do believe as individuals, experience the extremes of the good and the bad, the failures and the successes helps you really hone in on what is extreme you, like where are you at your very best. While I was at Nike, I got to meet a lot of athletes, as you can imagine, but one of my all-time favorites is Bodie Miller, the skier. Do you guys remember Bodie? I worked on his 2006 Torino Olympics campaign, probably actually one of the most failed athlete campaigns in Nike history. That was me, so remember me for that. But actually, what's really good about Bodie's story, I interviewed him for my book, is I wanted to talk to him about how he became so good. Because if anyone who has not followed his career, when it comes to downhill skiing, it's kind of crazy intense anyway. Bodie takes it to a whole different level. And why is that? So when he was a kid, he was actually physically smaller than the other skiers, right? So he would be doing these ski races, coming in 35th, 40th, whatever, certainly not looking like he was going to be an Olympic medalist. And the trainers kept saying, you know, you've got to just incrementally push yourself and improve your performance. That was kind of the training thought of the day. Bodie realized it wasn't working for him. So he goes, all right, what am I going to do? I'm just going to go all in, balls to the wall. And he starts skiing in every training race as if he is going at the Olympics as hard as he can, and he starts like crashing all the time because he's pushing himself beyond his own limit. So what ends up happening is, like, in training, oh, hello? Oh. In training, he's falling all the time. Race day, suddenly when the moment comes, he has prepared his body to avoid those crashes because he's been pushing harder than anyone else, and suddenly he overtakes the other skiers. So it's a great metaphor for the importance of failure and how it actually, when you push yourself out and fail, it does build your resilience and, frankly, your muscle strength, your emotional strength to a greater level. So that's why I love failure. Are you with me? Yeah. Yes. I was told this audience of entrepreneurs loves failure. I was like, yay. All right, number 2 is what I call play your specialist game. So we know that we're going to get super into failing and overcoming it. The second is, how do we understand as individuals and as businesses how to find that specialty for who we are? So I came upon this idea by actually looking back at all these great brands that I had worked for and studying some others that are upcoming brands right now and applying it to leadership and personal development. So first of all, I believe the sharper you focus, the better you can be. Here's 3 examples. Airlines today. Who sits there right now and go, I love United? Anyone? Because United, American, most of the world's airlines, their target consumer is human beings with arms and legs, basically. Virgin, however, what I learned when I was there is like, nope, we're going to go after a very, very focused consumer, someone who's into technology, into fashion, into entertainment. We're going to build our route structure, our offering, everything around this very specific psychographic consumer. Years later, they are still one of the most impressive, dominant brands. Strava. Do I have any Strava users in the room? Yes, there's one. Are you a cyclist or a runner? Cyclist. Strava is the social network for athletes. It was born about the same time as Fitbit, Jawbone, if you guys remember when that whole quantified self craze started. Now, everyone was going after anybody that wanted to track steps. Strava's like, well, I can either be number 10 in that giant market or number 1 for cyclists. Do you love Strava? See, people who are cyclists love Strava, like passionate about Strava. They've now gone into running and other sports because they're starting with this very passionate athletic consumer. And lastly, the dry bar. This is my favorite. Ladies, do we love dry bar? Men, are you right now going, WTF, don't know what dry bar is? Yes. So I actually interviewed Ali, the founder of Dry Bar, for my book, and this is such a great story. So she, as a child growing up, was super into hairdressing, but she really loved styling hair, not cutting it, styling it, blowing it out. So she basically had some kids, stay-at-home mom, she decides she wants to get back into business, and she starts just styling her friend's hair. Fast forward, it's now a $100 million business. She has created a new category. Because these salons, they're not like walk in and get cut, color, everything else. All they do is blow out your hair. And ladies, is it amazing? It's so great. Like, we all go in there and pop out $65 for a blowout once a week, which we did not do before she created this category. All around a very specialist position of what she loved doing. So what does this mean for you as individuals? Think about those business examples and then think about you, the leader, as if you're a product on the shelf that other people are going to invest in or hire. Are you differentiated? Ask yourself that question. Like, look at all the other people in the marketplace. Are you trying to be all things to all people? Or do you know what your incredible specialty is? And do you know how to say no to a shitload of opportunities because they're not building what you're great at? Because I do believe when you know that, the stronger your foundation, the more you build that, the bolder you will be because you come with so much more confidence. So I apply that to you as the person, and then I go, how amazing is it when it applies to your business as well? This idea of being spectacular for a few, not average for many. And I'm going to tell you super quick about my little company, Flywheel, which is anyone use Flywheel in the room? Yay! Oh, I got some light rounds of applause. It's so good. So I'll quickly tell you about our category and why I think it's so important to have this specialist positioning. So fitness in the last 5, 6, 7 years has really gone from this kind of we all go to the gym, everyone is trying to do everything in one building, to incredible specializing. So you see some of these examples on the board. People are going to cycling boutiques, running boutiques, Barry's Boot Camp, anyone heard of that? Boot camp boutiques, like these places that deliver just one fitness offering. So that is specializing in and of itself. But even within my little category of cycling, you have to actually narrow it down further to really understand your unique positioning. So let me show you. I love this next slide because everyone belongs on it. This is the USA population and everyone and their attitude to exercise and fitness. Okay, so I'm going to start at, let's see, your right. So we have 30% of the population are inactive. Are any of you in here? Because if so, we can talk. Totally inactive, never work out at all. The next group is what we call the chore exerciser, who absolutely hate it, do it because the doctor said so. There's a big group that are physical laborers, that's their job, so they don't actually have to work out. Then we get into the place where the business is done. So there's a group that are social exercisers for whom I go because I want to hang out with my girls, hang out with my guys. It's all about a social experience. Pick up basketball, group fitness, etc. Then there's a group called the routine. I bet you a bunch of you in this room who work out and it's like, I have to get it done as fast as I damn well can. I've just got to get yes. Lots of type A personalities fit in that group. Then we get to the two segments I particularly love, the passionate and competitive athletes. So, hands up in this room, who, when you are on a treadmill, you notice how fast the person next to you is going and you must be faster. Exactly. You are in these segments. It is these people that grew up probably playing team sports, but they are super competitive at heart. Like, I'm talking have to win when you're playing Monopoly against the kids. Like, I'm one. It's okay. It's okay. You can admit it. Like, be comfortable with it. But competitive athletes, when you look at our business, Flywheel's business, these two groups make up 70% of all of our riders. So we could have gone over everyone who's into fitness, and instead we said, we're going to create an offering, so it's indoor cycling, that has technology on the bikes, which means as you're riding, we're actually measuring your performance. And we have what we call a talk board, which means where you're able to compete with other people in the class. So for people who fit that segment, we have designed an offering that they're just like, yes, this is for me. I can beat people, right? And that is where we tend to really focus. Now, if you don't know your specialist game, in our case, we love that passionate and competitive athlete. That's who we care about every single day, and we actually are not trying to focus on the others. If you don't know that, your consumers actually might mislead you. So here's the kind of research that we might get back if we were talking to people who are into fitness who are not our core. You know, I love Flywheel because it's clean and the bikes are well maintained. That's that person who's trying to get it done as fast as they can. Well, that doesn't give me anything to design off of. I'm not going to recommend Flywheel because it's too intimidating. well, that's cool. You shouldn't, because I need to make it like that for the people who really care about it. I'm never coming to Flywheel because I'm looking for more of a cardio party. We're serious about our fitness and our performance, and we have to stick with that position. So does this make sense to you guys? Like, you have to understand where your super sharp focus is and what you have to say no to. And for us, we do go after that super passionate consumer. Our positioning is never coast, which means if anyone who's done spinning and you've been in the back of a dark room and they say turn up the resistance and you kind of don't, for us, we say never coast, which means we want you to push yourself to whatever is your next level. I'll show you a quick video of how our life comes to life. If it's going to work. We had a few audio issues. The audio was a little quiet, but seriously, who wants to go work out right now? Come on. I mean, that is what we do. So that's the story of the specialist game. Your personal specialist game, in my case, I am competitive as shit, so it's good that I'm working for a business that is focusing on people like that. But what is it for you? Your personal specialist game, and is it aligned with what you are doing day to day in your business? Last lesson is what I call bringing out the extreme in others, which is obviously what everyone in this room who are great entrepreneurs and leaders have to do. This is really interesting. When I was in college 25 years ago, we looked at this slide and we talked about how consumers adopt new ideas. Do you guys remember this? And the way I think about this slide today is it's actually about your employees. You need to know your most passionate, best employees who are going to come up with the new ideas for your company, just like in those days, the way we used to think about the consumer who was the most passionate for the category. Because those extremers in your business are the ones that live it, breathe it, like cannot stop thinking about it, who are going to find the next realm of where you should be going. So you need to really wrap your arms around them and understand that other employees are going to work at a different pace, but they need to be led by those who are the most passionate. I really believe you should also partner with those least like you. Do you not love this picture? I found it's from the ESPN body issue, and this was like a bunch of Olympians going to they are all the absolute best in their particular category, but look how different they are, right? What does that tell us? Like, in the world we live in today, like when you come into work, if you're an extrovert, find that introvert who you can really partner with. If you're analytical, find the creative person. Like, who's the person who's most different to you that you can really partner with to pull out the things that you're not so good at? Understand your weaknesses. Be open about them. Talk about them so you can find the people that can really complement you. Narrow your focus, but diversify your team. This is one of my favorite stories. I was reading an article, this is actually 5 years ago, I think, when Lego got into the business of Lego for girls. So do you guys, how many people have boys in the room? Little boys at home who play a lot of Lego, right? So basically these guys, they researched and they were like, why is it since the dawn of time, our entire Lego business has sold to little boys and not girls? So they did all this ethnographic research to understand why. And I loved the article that I read about it, because these little girls, the little boys, first of all, said, I love Lego, I get a map, I get some blocks, I build it, it's very linear, I get to the end, I have something awesome to show my parents, that's awesome. The little girls, however, first thing they said was, the little yellow guy, I would not be friends with him. He's ugly. And secondly, these girls, they learned, were not inspired by this kind of very linear play pattern. They were like, I want to imagine the world that the character's in. I want to play a little bit over here, and I want to take my character somewhere else over here. Very multitasking behavior. Ladies, does this sound familiar at all? And I love this article because as I was reading it, I had this epiphany. That is us when we grow up. Men and women are wired fundamentally differently. And the best thing is when we come together and like bring the best of our style as opposed to trying to sort of be each other's style, that's when you really get beautiful, innovative results. And I think that applies to all kinds of diversity. Like, narrow the focus of the team so you're all like super passionate about what you're going after, but really bring a breadth of different styles and experiences to get there. Lastly, seek, sign, and service. That's how I think about talent management. Every single one of us, we are in the business of talent, no matter who you are. Yes, a lot of us are tech companies, but really, who is going to take those tech companies to the next level? It is the best talent. So think about them like, in my case, I have instructors that every day, they have to like be on and fill that room and just be going for it. I need to know those talent as intimately as I know anyone else in the business. So who is it for you? Who are the people that you absolutely think about every day? Think about yourself like a sports agent. I'm out there trying to get the best talent, get them into my family and not let them go and really help develop them. So, are you guys awake? I'm really worried how quiet you are. 3 lessons we went through today. Make failure your fuel. You guys are all going to go forth and fail. Yes? Yes? Play your specialist game. So hopefully I helped you understand that piece. And then lastly, bringing out the extreme in others. And with that, I think Tyler is meant to be... Tyler, here he is, joining me.
So, Sarah, thank you very much. That was wonderful.
Thank you.
They're going to bring out some chairs and let us sit down.
Wow.
But and I'm going to ask one question of my own, and then we'll go to the audience's questions. And I should remind you all one more time that we would love to hear your questions for Sarah and for others through that hashtag iconic tour. That's the only way that we will receive questions. We're not going to go out into the audience and have people raise their hands and so forth. It'll just be a little easier if you either use the iconic tour hashtag on Twitter or on Facebook. But my first question for you, you began with the story about Virgin Atlantic and that you were the one person that they fired that day. Why were you fired?
Great question.
Why were you fired? Yeah. And not what did you learn from it, but what did you change about yourself as a result of it? Why and what did you change?
So interestingly enough, I joined Virgin at the time that Napster had just come along. So you guys remember, so the entire industry was being super disrupted. And they were bringing in people from different areas to try and like urgently rethink the business. So I was one of those new leaders coming in. I'm coming from airlines to music retail, so I know nothing about music retail, yet I was so arrogant, quite honestly, so cocky. I was like, I've been hanging with Richard, I got this, you know. And what came with that was one, I was way over my skis, and two, just too scared to admit what I didn't know and therefore ask for help. And therefore I was driving things like trying to do the same stuff I'd done before, which wasn't relevant for a declining business in a totally different category. So that is why I got fired, fully deserved it. And what did I do differently afterwards? You know, it stayed with me forever. Like every day, even right through the Gatorade turnaround, I kept thinking I will get fired. You know, it stays with you forever. But what I took from it is you are so much better in any environment to just man up and say what you don't know, get that elephant out on the table, than pretend, and then it's kind of like following you around and you can get into trouble.
So you became a more humble person.
Oh, for sure.
You became a more humble person. You know, if I had, you know, you often play the game, you know, who would you like to be for one day in your life? I would like to be Richard Branson.
I know.
I think he makes everything fun, or he seems to.
Yes.
I follow him on Instagram. He is very active there. On Instagram.
He has a whole desert island.
I'd like to be. He does have a whole desert island. I'd like to be he or Derek Jeter. I think that those would be one of the two I'd like to be. All right, let's go to the audience questions. Kayla Michelle, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Question number 1: for someone just starting out, how exactly do you identify your specialty?
Yeah, great question. So, it's up. Oh, how cute. It's
there you go.
So the first thing I will say is I get super frustrated with the media today saying to every graduate, you have to find your passion within 10 seconds of graduating and be in it and working in it. It's like, I don't know about you, but it doesn't happen that quickly. First of all, you cannot Google search your passion, honestly. You have to actually do stuff. And the answer to that is many of the people I interviewed in my book actually didn't find what their specialty was until well into their 40s.
You may not know what you're good at.
Exactly.
And finding out what you're good at can be an accident.
Totally.
It can be an accidental kind of thing.
And I feel like so many of the stories I saw were people who had done quite disparate things that suddenly started to make sense when they came together. In my case, who would have thought that basically the business model of an airline, bums on seats, is not that different than bums on bikes. You know what I mean? Like that, who would have thought that everything I learned in airlines would help me in a fitness business years later? I never would have anticipated that, but that's how it works.
Every time I get on a plane, I think I'm sitting next to bums for some reason. All right, question number 2, and it comes from Chanel Cedeno. What is Flywheel's long-term plan to maintain a competitive edge over other boutique fitness and cycling studios? Fitness is a crowded area. I was just talking to Eric Schoenberg backstage. It seems like so many startups have to do with food or fitness these days.
Definitely.
How do you keep your edge?
Massive macro tailwind for sure, and I think we're all benefiting from that and have to be aware that we're benefiting from that. But how do we keep our edge? Number one, we've actually just announced that we're a studio business, that we're going to take the business streaming so that it's going to be a much more omni-channel experience, because I think we need to meet the consumer where they are, right? But secondly, it comes back to what I talked about today, is like, I actually don't think so much about the other competitors. I think about my consumer, and I think about the people that get up every day and want to work out and improve their performance, and what can I do to help them do that?
How do you stay close to your consumer? That's the key to any successful business.
Because that is so true. It's like, the only way you can really, really be connected is to get in there and have conversations. When I'm riding at Flywheel, these people probably think I'm a stalker, but you know, you chat with them, talk to them, like we're in the locker room together. You can imagine that, right?
Yeah.
But it's great. Like, that's how you learn. People will be open and chat with you about what they loved and didn't love.
And do they give you good ideas?
Definitely.
Every time?
Yeah.
Yeah, you learn something
every day.
every
And they tell
day.
you where you're not doing well. You need to hear that. Like, I also think we have
Do they know who you are when you talk to them, or not necessarily?
The instructors tend to say,
she's the boss. She's the big lady. All right, question number 3 from Carmen Ring. When is it the right time for a business to go international?
Now, that is a very tricky question. Like, I believe years ago when I first started out in business, you could afford to wait a whole lot longer because, you know, we didn't have the borderless world that we live in now. But here's what I would say is...
Oh, the borders are coming back.
Haven't you heard? That is true. Ooh, imagine that.
Don't touch you can touch your nose, not my nose, okay?
I know, I'm meant to be listening into it. But no, what I do believe fundamentally is going international is a giant commitment and a big distraction for the core, and so you better be ready, leadership and people-wise, before you do it. And I really do believe that you're better to wait longer but have the best offering than go too fast and then pull everything in too many directions and then everything.
Final question, do you consider non-cycling classes to be your competition?
Absolutely. Anything that our competitive athlete consumer does is something that we can be part of.
Sarah, thank you so much.
It's been so fun. Thank you.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.